Hi, this is Hungary News, and now this is the 22nd program, I think. I'm not sure though, because I always fail at counting. But anyway, so now today we are going to talk about hobbies. Hobbies are such a major part of anyone's life. I mean, there is work, which is very important, and there is sleeping, which is also important, along with eating and drinking. But whatever you do beside sleeping, let's call it recreation, and working, well, that's hobby. So I'm not going to talk about hobbies like it was any specific thing. I just want to talk about hobbies or free time in Hungary. I know I did quite a while ago about watching films or going on holidays and stuff, but now we're going to talk about the things you can do in Hungary in your free time and how many people actually do it. Okay, so let's cover this topic from the most expensive to the cheapest one ever. Most expensive. You can get flying lessons in Hungary, which is about a little more than 1,000,000 forints, and if you want to maintain your flight license thingy, then you have to fly quite frequently. Now, in Hungary, if you don't have a lot of money, then I actually know a guy, well, I know a guy who knows a guy, who tries to cover his fuel costs with other people's money. What it means that if you want to get a cheap flight, and not in transportation, but just a cheap flight around Budapest or something, then you can buy some fuel for him and he can take you anywhere you basically want to go, which is really creative, I guess. Of course, that's not quite legal, but I don't know. I mean, you buy fuel and you do whatever you want. Okay, but that's kind of an expensive hobby. And going below that, there is always traveling, which is fine, but it's kind of expensive. There is driving to destination, a kind of road trip, which is a little bit less. You need to pay for the hotel, you need to pay for the fuel, but obviously you are free to do whatever you want to do. And there are quite nice places in Hungary, but more on that later. If you have kind of about 20,000 forints a month or 30,000, you can subscribe to a gym, or you can go to yoga or do or learn some martial arts, but mainly in Budapest. So when we are talking about lessons which are location based, I mean not online, then you really have to go to Budapest, because there are some schools in the countryside in major cities like Debrecen, Pécs, Győr, Szeged, but quite frankly, because of the great amount of people living in Budapest, things are really in Budapest and not countrywide. Okay, so that's quite all, and now we're going to do some really cheap hobbies, because most people in Hungary don't have 20,000 forints to spare in a month. But they have, I don't know, 500 or 5,000, 10 maybe. Now, if you want to be quite healthy, then you can do a sort of road trip but on foot. So you can go hiking basically. And Hungary doesn't really have high mountains. Our highest mountain is called Kékestető, which is about 1,014 meters tall, but that's quite enough. We have hills. Now let's call them hills because quite frankly they're not mountains, I guess, compared to Mount Everest or whatever. About around 7,700 meters tall, 500 or whatever, and all covered in forests. Because of our climate, we are not Mediterranean. We have a continental climate with 4 seasons and stuff. So we have quite nice forests, which is good because, quite frankly, I myself like to go hiking, or just, you know, walk in nature or whatever. It's nice. There are quite a lot of destinations you can choose from, and even if you just start to go, you will find something, even in the most unexpected areas. All right, so that covers everything. But we haven't talked about drinking and smoking yet, because quite frankly that's not very healthy, and it's really hard to count it as a hobby, or count them both as a hobby if you do them. But because not many people are interested in the forests and cheap travel anymore in Hungary, quite frankly because life is so stressful, you need to release it, or you need to have some relief. So if you want to be drunk, that's a good idea, that's always nice. And if you want to smoke a lot, that's also can be a good idea, because quite frankly both of them can calm you down. Of course that's not very healthy and that's not very productive, because from the amount of money you go to travel, or you smoke or drink beer or some kind of alcohol, you can build a model airplane if you're interested. Of course, like in many cultures, building model airplanes, playing role-playing games, or doing yoga or something like that is considered a very unserious business. Quite childish. I know it's not really, because if I go to do some martial arts I can break your neck, but still it's considered childish. A little bit. But whatever. If you want to do something nice in Hungary, you have the same... You have the same amount of things, you have all... basically the same amount as in any Western countries. Because frankly, if you want to learn to fly, then you have the chance to do that. If you want to drink beer, you also have the chance to do that. So I believe that's it. Hobbies are considered quite expensive in Hungary, especially the ones which don't include drinking beer and smoking, because if you, for example, if you want to learn to dive, you have to put together a couple of things, a couple of recreational activities. First of all, you have to travel, because in Hungary there are only a few diving places, and because we have no seas and oceans, well, we lack that certain view underwater. So you have to travel to far destinations, you have to learn to drive, you have to have an equipment. A diving equipment, for example, compared to the flying equipment, is quite cheap, only 200,000 forints or 250. And 200,000 or 250 is the same, so from the same cost, you can go to Egypt or any quite close destinations where there is sea, and you can dive in. And if you want to fly, obviously air is free in Hungary, but you have to buy or rent an airplane, and you have to have you have to have lessons. Okay, I believe that this covered all the necessary hobbies you might have, with examples. But if you just have a hobby and you're interested in if you can do this in Hungary, then I believe that I can answer that. So just write an email or write a comment asking about hobbies if you want to, and I'll be glad to answer that. Right, so that's it. Thank you for watching.